Today I'm at Drayton Manor. Old logo, new logo, you choose because they are both all over the place. The park just opened, people are starting getting in. It's a park for families, and clearly they want to change the target into families. So there are still some intense rides. There is probably the most intense drop tower in UK and some coasters, water rides, a bit of everything. But it's where Thomas Land is, and their mission is to move into the family target. So the most intense rides like the drop tower are going to be removed, and the park is going into that direction. I'm also interested to see how the operations are because it's the first time I'm in a UK park not operated by Merlin. So I want to see if the problem is Merlin or UK basically. So let's go and have a look. The main selling point of the park has to be Thomas Land. This is a land targeting kids, of course. It's based on the cartoon Thomas and Friends, which is really popular in UK. I'm not sure about the rest of the world. But anyway, it's a defined land, which is a park in the park. It's loaded with rides and attractions for kids. Flat rides, there is also a small mild drop tower and a family coaster. But the whole thing, it's really full of character. There are lots of details. The theming, it's outstanding. They created a really coherent land where standard off-the-shelf rides have been amazingly themed and everything falls into place properly. I really liked this land, and I think for a kid which is into Thomas and Friends, this is a kind of dream becoming true because everything is so nicely put together, so coherent, so immersive that I think they really done a great job with Thomas Land. The offering is made also of a zoo, so there are some animals and other things, and you can get there using the train station in Thomas Land. There is a train that goes all the way down to the zoo. Of course, you can reach the zoo also walking, but I think this kind of a transportation in between kind of connects the two offerings, the Thomas Land and the zoo. Again, the zoo is targeting kids, of course, it's got an educational purpose as well. Talking about the zoo, there is a bit of everything. So there are monkeys, there are reptiles, there are lots of birds, and there is also a display of dinosaurs models, which is nothing special, but I think it's a nice addition for kids visiting the park. The rest of the park has got lots of attractions. So there is this coaster, which is a stand-up coaster, the only one in UK. There are only two in the world. So uncomfortable and rough, it's a pain and it's in desperate need of retracking. Then you got another coaster which is mild, it's a family coaster, it's a boomerang, so you go upwards and then you come backwards all the way through the path. Not so intense, but it's nice, it's a laugh, I kind of enjoyed it. Then there is Apocalypse, which is probably the most intense drop tower in UK. It's a pity because it used to be a masterpiece, and out of 5 gondolas, there was one in which you could stand rather than sitting down. Unfortunately, the ride is going to be removed at the end of the season. It's currently just partially functioning, and it's a pity. I tried it the first time ever. You got amazing views of the park from the top, and it is really intense. So it's a kind of pity to see this one going, but of course, it's not aligned to the new target and the new mission of the park, and so all the most intense rides are probably likely to go at the end of a life cycle. Then you got lots of other flat rides. Some of them are kind of outstanding, big, in your face, and intense. This one especially was so fun. It's really, really good. But there are lots of other flat rides all over the place. Some of them, probably most of them, are made by the Italian manufacturer Zamperla. And they are nice flat rides because they are 360 degrees in terms of target. So kids definitely enjoy them, but they are good also for adults to ride on. So I kind of liked their offering. The offering keeps going with the river rapids, which are not too intense, not super wet, but really nicely themed. There are then other flat rides. Unfortunately, we were closed when I was visiting the park, and some dark rides with laser guns. Duel. And then the offer keeps going with other flat rides, which again are for kids but can be done by adults as well. What I really liked is the general theming of the park. So everything is nice and detailed, not only the rides themselves, but the park in general. When you walk through the park, there are lots of playgrounds for kids, all the shops, all the restaurants are nicely themed, so I like that. Then there is a Storm Force 10, which is a water ride. It's super fun and extremely wet. I really liked that you start with a drop and then there is this flipping track, so you go even backwards, and the whole thing is just super wet, super fun. I really liked it. Then we got Vikings, which is the new area they opened in 2022. It's a brand new area which has got 4 attractions. Most of them are made by Zamperla, the Italian manufacturer. And you got Loki, which is the first nebula in UK, which is kind of fun, probably more fun off-ride than on-ride, but we'll go back to that one in a second. And then you got the Disco Coaster, which I think is just one of the best flat rides out there. It's really fun. It doesn't look so intense off-ride, but on-ride, really delivers. So well done to Zamperla, because I think they created an amazing ride with a compact footprint. I've tried it in other parks like Chessington and Legoland, and every time it delivers. In terms of nebulas, so I was actually shocked about the hour capacity and the loading procedure, which is pretty complex, and here they were using just half of it to shorten it down. Then you got an old power coaster. They kind of made a light re-theming, so they changed the theming of the train, but it still doesn't deliver anything in terms of intensity, and the path has not been themed either, so a pretty lame attempt. And then you got this horse riding attraction, which clearly is for kids, a nice addition, and yeah, why not? Let's talk about tops and flops. For me, clear top, it's Thomas Land. As said already, it's an amazing execution of a kids land. So far, probably one of the best lands for kids that I've ever seen in a theme park. There is an abundance of attraction and lots of details, really, really well done. Then Storm Force 10, it's so wet, so fun. You can get wet also off-ride if you are clever enough to get too close to take a picture. There you go. Then what I liked is the theming, not only of the areas and of the park, but the stations. All the stations, all the queue lines are heavily themed. And it's really, really nice. There's plenty of playgrounds around, all the areas are themed, but the stations as well. I wasn't expecting this level of theming and detail, so I was positively surprised. And then in general, the park itself, as I said, the theming is nice. You got nice views, you got a lake, it's kind of easy to navigate, to go from one part to the other of the park. It's not too packed, but it's not too spread out. So I think it's the right size and the right navigability. As said, the theming, it's really, really nice. So I really liked the park overall. In terms of flops, unfortunately, I have to mention the Viking areas. Now, I know that there is still no grass and the trees will grow higher, but so far it looks like a camping and it looks so cheap compared to the other areas. Then, we know it's a park in under transition, but it looks a bit abandoned, so there are things not working. Apocalypse really looks like the funeral of Apocalypse. There is just one gondola working out of 5. Generally speaking, it looks like all the rides are not working at full capacity or with all the trains. You find abandoned trains all over the place in the park, and you got that feeling that they're not using all of them. Even Shockwave, I think it used to have 2 trains, now there is just one running, so not sure about that. Another flaw for me was the zoo. It's not that I didn't like it, but I haven't found the same well-being for animals that I've seen in Chessington, so I wasn't really impressed about it. Then, generally speaking, we know it's a park that is going under a transition. They're changing target. There used to be more intense rides like Pandemonium that have been removed, and Apocalypse is going to be removed. New things are coming because there's plenty of signs on the ground, so clearly they are planning new areas. My concern is that if Viking is the new standard, it's really a step down compared to the other areas in terms of investments, in terms of attention to detail, in terms of overall looking, especially when you compare it to the existing areas, which are really heavily and nicely themed. Then there were a couple of breakdowns, but nothing major. But these two kind of bridge to operations. So operation, they didn't really look at their best because they're not using all the trains. So there is an issue of our capacity. So I wasn't really impressed about operations either. Generally speaking, is it a nice park? Yes. As it is now, it's still worth a visit from an adult. In the future, I don't know. If you're into Thomas and Friends, you need to go. Please have a look at my channel. There is plenty of content there. For example, travel tips and tricks. If you're planning a visit in one of the parks that I visit myself already, I'm sharing how to get there and various tips and tricks. And of course, please subscribe.